This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and for the first time in 2022, I'm delighted to be joined by trainer Jon Pegg. John, firstly, Happy New Year. Hope you had a good one, a good Christmas. Did you get up to much?
No, do you know what, mate? It was quite quiet. I always have it quiet when there's not boxing to be done. I try and keep it as quiet as possible. And in five or 6 days, the run up to Christmas Day, I had bloody COVID again. So, but it weren't like the first time. It weren't nowhere near as bad. Like the first time, I couldn't get out of bed. This time, I was just sneezing and just felt a little bit not the best. But yeah, so it meant I couldn't go out and do any Christmas shopping, which didn't really bother me too much, to be honest. It was nothing like your last few months where you've been globe trotting. You know what I mean?
It's been a good 2021 for me, but there's a lot to do this year, John. There's a lot more work to be done yet. So yeah, let's
You're going to
obviously
be in
get.
Britain at all? Are you going to be in Britain or just going to keep moving around the world?
I have no idea as to what my schedule will hold as of yet, John. I haven't spoken to my boss Rob about that, so I will see what he has to say. But hopefully, I'll be around a bit more now. But yeah, let's obviously get into the 2022 plans. Firstly, just to reflect on 2021, a successful year for the guys in the gym. Start off with Sam Eggington. How would you reflect on his year?
Two good wins and fight of the year with Boxing News. I think British Boxing Board of Control would be crazy not to give him fight of the year because, there was some great fights last year, but when you look at it, none of them had the amount of action that one did. None of them had like one clinch in 12 rounds of fighting. It was so well matched. It was such a good fight. And, if Sam wins it again off the Boxing Board of Control, that's 2 years on the trot. So a WBC silver, which is the only title he's ever fought for and not won, because he fought for it against Liam Smith and obviously didn't win it. So he wanted to put that straight. And a very good win over Carlos Molina. So Sam had a great year.
What's going to be the plan for him moving into 2022, John? We see him with that silver title now. Is the plan just to continue to climb those WBC rankings at middleweight?
He's going back to super welter. Mick's looking for a big fight for him. And also Mick wants to put him on in Birmingham. He said after that fight, he deserves a big fight and he deserves to be in his home city. So Mick's like really busting himself to make sure Sam gets a big fight and that it's in Birmingham. So that's going to be around March time.
So if you're looking at him dropping back to super welter, looking at, I'd assume, the domestic scene firstly, is there anyone who catches your eye? I mean, one fight which you'd think could be more possible is the Cheeseman rematch on the back of his defeat to Troy Williamson.
I'll be honest, we're not really looking domestic. Like Mick says, Sam's done all that. And to be fair, Cheeseman flat out refused the rematch with Sam. Flat out. You've seen Eddie Hearn say it. It's not me just saying it. When Ted had a title and Sam never, and I says, fair enough, I understand. He flat out refused one. And I says to Sam, even though Sam would love the rematch, I says, why should you give a rematch to someone who wouldn't give you one when they haven't got a title? I says, when it was the other way around, it was like, what do we need him for? I says, you've got to be a little bit more the same. But we're not Mick's not planning domestic anyway. He said Sam needs to be in certain kind of fights, and that's what he's trying to make.
So are there any names you can throw at us in terms of who you'd consider, or at least the level of opposition you'd like to see him in with?
Well, we just want to be up. He's kind of just outside the top 10 now. So like an Austin Trout or someone like that will push him into the top 10. And then if you're in that top 10 and say some titles become vacant, which is can happen very easily when one person's got a few titles, because you miss a mandatory, stuff gets declared vacant. And someone like Sam is in the forefront. He's in exciting fights. He hasn't got the scariest record for a top 10 level fighter. So he could easily get a vacant title shot as long as he's hovering around that kind of level. So we just need a fight that pushes him into there. You know what I mean?
I mean, mentioning an Austin Trout there, is he somebody you guys have considered as a team and have discussed?
I got to, you know what? We've probably discussed everyone from like number 3 or 4 down to number 20. We've discussed all of them. There's some of them that we look at styles-wise and go, oh, it's totally wrong style for Sam. There's other ones we look at and people go, are you mad? But we're like, no, that would suit him, because we know him so well. So we've discussed everyone, but we want someone who kind of pushes him forward. Like Carlos Molina got him back into the top 20. And that good win over Bilal Jakitu has kind of pushed him up towards the top of the top, like the 11 and 12. And now we just need one to push us into like the top 7 or 8. And then it's about being smart. So that's kind of the plan now.
Away from Sam, a successful kind of comeback period for Shakan Peters as well on the back of that defeat to Craig Richards. What's going to be the plan for him moving into this year?
Shaq, we're just looking for meaningful fights. You know, meaningful fights. He's got a nice little title there to kind of defend if he needs to, but just meaningful fights. He had a couple of fights to kind of he didn't need to get his confidence back. He felt fine. But we know that boxers deep down, when push comes to shove, you've got to make sure you've got them wins behind you. So we got him a couple of wins. And, you know, if he'd have jumped straight in with Reece Cartwright without them couple of wins, he might not have pulled it out the bag when it was really close and tough. You know what I mean? It was a tough fight. But Shaq dropped him in the 8th, dropped him heavily. Ref stopped the fight. If he hadn't have had them 2 wins, that's where the self-doubt can creep in, you know, in a fight like that. So, you know, we timed it right. But, yes, Shaq went 3-0. Well, the gym went 20-0 for the year.
Yeah.
So we was working. I was doing some stuff for like an end of year roundup, and I was like, oh fuck, we haven't been beat this year at all, including the likes of Nathan Benton and that boxing on the road on NTK shows. And then I suddenly realised Kaisee still had to fight, and I thought I can't mention this because the moment I mention it, I'm going to mess it up. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, but then Kaisee won his fight, so I made sure everyone knew that we was 20-0 for the year. I think we picked up 4 titles and Ultimate Boxer Night. It wasn't a bad year.
Is this the first time you've gone unbeaten in a year, John?
Probably. I think so because you know yourself, we take some hard fights. I mean, this year we took fights that you don't win 4 titles without taking 50-50 fights. And if you take 50-50 fights, law of averages, you're going to lose some. So, you know, yeah, I think it probably is. And we put our prospects in to learn. And that's why there's a few losses dotted across our prospects records, because we find out what they're about. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Corey Gibbs, you know, he jumped into prize fighter after a year and a half out, and he fought 3 top kids over 3 rounds. So that's not easy to kind of stay unbeaten that night, let alone for the rest of the year. So, yeah, I think it might have been. And if it is, it's definitely the first year where we've gone unbeaten at a good level. We might have gone unbeaten like 4 rounders on my shows at Aston Villa. But it's the first year where we've gone a calendar year fighting for WBC Silvers, WBC Internationals, you know, stuff like that.
I mean, just on Corey Gibbs, John, obviously he's teamed up with Boxer and Sky. You know, how important of a deal is that for his career, and how happy are you for him? Because going into Sky now, who are obviously very keen to withhold their standing in boxing and to build upon what success they had with Eddie and Matchroom previously, the opportunities which could be there for him are endless.
Well, do you know what? It's I've been telling people for a long time about Corey's potential. I think even Dave Caldwell said it on the night. He says, Jon Pegg's been telling me a bit about this kid for years. He says, and now I've seen. So we knew. But, like, sometimes things fall into place. Corey had a baby, and he kind of got a bit bored with 4 and 6 rounders and not getting a chance. And obviously, Sky with Boxer at the head, with Ben Shalom, with his enthusiasm. And, like, obviously, I do a lot of work with John Wishuson, which makes a big deal for me because John's one of the best guys in boxing to work with. So when he says to me about the what's and I said, we'll put Corey in. And he said, would he be interested in signing if he does good? Because John knows we've got a good history in that kind of thing. And he knows if I put someone forward, there's usually a chance they're going to win it. And I went, well, you know, with you, of course, yeah. So then John just come up with a deal, and they're really pleased to have Corey on board because they know how to spot talent, you know what I mean? And Corey is a talent. There's no debating that. Sky are looking to push people really hard. And I think once they get Corey to a certain stage, I believe that they'll be pushing him at home as well. You know, it was under John Wish kind of with Matchroom that Sam had his first title fight in Birmingham. John Wish kind of arranged that with Joseph Lamptey. John found the opponent. John made sure it was at home. So I know that he comes through on what he says. Do you know what I mean? And he thinks quite highly of Corey. You know, we know the job we got to do. Corey's really hit his mental and physical peak now at 28. You know, he had so much talent coming from the amateurs, but early on, he was kind of in and out. He was a little bit bored and not going where he could straight away with his talents. But he's had a child now. He's settled down. And I think the timing's right. I think he's going to do really, really well.
Jon, away from Corey, also just get your thoughts on Kaisee Benjamin. What will be your plans with Kaisee this year?
Well, we made an offer to Sam Maxwell, a really, really good offer. And we've had nothing back. So, as I've said to you before, it's no good concentrating on someone. If they don't want the fight, that's their decision. They've got their own routes. They've got their own plans. You know, Kaisee put it out there. He got told we'll make an offer. We made a really good offer, and it just hasn't happened. So we will make our own route. You know, we will make our own route. I always say to the lads, don't chase fights because it gives the other fighter a bit of power over you. Just make your own route, and eventually, if you do your job you're capable of, they will be asking for you eventually. Like when Sam was chasing the Cheeseman rematch and was desperate for it. And I says, if it gets offered, we'll take it. I said, don't chase it. I said, it gives people power over you. It gives you, I said, you make your own moves. I said, in 12 months, they'll be chasing you. And I know Ted's not chasing Sam, but people are going, oh, why don't you give Ted a match? Not the other way around. Sam's the one who's in the driving seat through not trying to chase it, not getting, because you can get obsessed with something that you can't have. So we've tried that for the British Commonwealth. Don't look like it's going to happen. But Mick's got some big plans for Kaisee. Kaisee's really opened Mick's eyes this year because Kaisee was another one that I told Mick how good he was. But Kaisee, sometimes his talent can be his own worst enemy early on. He would be quite happy to win a fight quite comfortably, but not TV friendly. And then me, Paul and Louis, we kind of sat Kaisee down and went, you're winning these fights, but TV won a bit more. And he kind of like, he got it, do you know what I mean? Then now he's on a run of 4 very impressive KOs. And it's like he's saying, okay, if this is what TV wants. And we knew he had that in the locker, but he was just a bit too talented and laid back for his own good. But he seems to have got a nasty streak. And Steve Bunt said on that last show, he says, we're not talking about this guy. He says, and he's just had the most impressive win on the whole card against Winston Campos. So, yeah, Kaisee at 26 is really hitting a run of form that I can see him going all the way, I'll be honest.
Jon, away from Kaisee, just get your thoughts on a couple of things coming up in the boxing world. We've got the Amir Khan and Khan-Brook fight, which is February 19th, so about 5 weeks away now. Just get your thoughts on it. What do you make of it now? It's finally, hopefully, here.
You know what? I think it's a great fight. They're both past their best, but that's fine because they're both past their best. It's not like Larry Holmes against Mike Tyson. You know, if Khan-Brook was fighting Amir Khan and it was Khan-Brook who was 24, I'd say, oh, what a load of bollocks. But they're both slightly past their best, but they've both got stuff to offer. So I'm kind of like, yeah, if it was a great fight 5 years ago, it's a great fight now. You know, Mike Tyson's against Roy Jones in an exhibition. If Mike Tyson at 23 had gone against Roy Jones at 50, it would have been, oh, this is a joke. But it was quite entertaining because they're both over the hill. Do you see what I'm saying? So I think it's going to be good. I think the back and forth's going to be good. I think the bad blood is genuine on Khan-Brook's side. I think Amir Khan's all business, to be honest. I think he knows the business so well. But I think it's genuine bad blood on Amir Khan-Brook's. There's none of this fake beef and all that. So they're both going to get paid well, which they both deserve. Massive servants to the game. And if they can get a big payday when perhaps they shouldn't be getting one and get a bit of attention and pushes one of them onto an even bigger payday, all power to them. And I think it'll be a good fight because I think they've both degraded a little bit their skills. So it's not like one of them's got a big, huge advantage. I think it's a good fight. I'm looking forward to it. And I pick Amir Khan.
Jon, I'm interested to know, let's say if whoever was to be successful in that fight, I doubt we'd see them back at 147. Beyond that, probably be looking more at 154. If ever an offer could be made, would you be interested in putting Sam in with the winner of that?
Oh God, yeah, like a shot, Yeah, yeah. And you know what? They're two elite guys who are slightly past their best. Sam's coming into his physical prime now, but he didn't have the elite amateur career they had. So for me, it would make it a fair fight. A bit like when Sam fought Paulie. Sam was 23, Paulie was 36. So Sam was too young for his prime, but he had a lot of freshness and strength. Paulie was past his prime, but he still had a lot of the skills and wits to pull off some good wins, what he'd been winning. So it made it a fair fight, and Sam got the win. So, now I like a shot, because people don't realise, because you're there all the time. Amir Khan's still a superstar. He's one of the few people who, when you're at the fight hotel, there's 6 deep at the door, peering through the windows. You've seen it. And I'm at them things all the time. And you have big names on. I'm on about big, genuine names, and you don't get that. Amir Khan's on, and there's a crowd 6 deep at the hotel windows. He's a genuine superstar. Whether he's as good as some of the people who are not superstars, I'm not arguing with. But sometimes superstar ain't about who's the best fighter. It's about that kind of star quality and what the fans want to see. Amir Khan is a genuine superstar, because I've seen it. Even past his best, even losing, he brings more people to the table than most in their prime elite top 3 to 4 guys. He really does it, and I've seen it with my own eyes. Cal, not so much, like for the fans, but he's also a great fighter. But yeah, at 154, that'd be a no-lose situation for Sam, because whoever won out of those guys would obviously be looking quite good after getting the win. So Sam would be the underdog, so he'd have nothing to lose. But, anyone apart from the top elite guys, I put Sam as an even fight with. There's some guys out there that are just stratospheres ahead of everyone. But anyone apart from them, especially guys who are a little touch older, so the legs can't get them out of the way as quick, I'll put Sam in an even fight with, I'll be honest.
I mean, you'd imagine for one of Amir or Kelly would take quite a hefty financial offer to make the fight, but has it actually been discussed between yourself, Sam, Mick, at all about what could happen beyond Amir and Cal's fight and how Sam could line up for him?
I'll be honest, Mick discusses everything. He's mad. He's always got ideas going off in different directions. You can see why he does what he does, and how he picks people out and they suddenly do stuff that you wouldn't believe. Mick's got he's got that promoter's mind that's always thinking of stuff. Sam, you don't have to ask. If the money's good and we fancy, I say, let's go, he's having it. Me, I'm all about risk reward. Why fight a really, really dangerous guy that nobody knows, but you can fight a really, really, really dangerous guy that everybody knows, and if you beat him, it's worth so much. Because then if you lose, it's kind of like, well, risk reward. But if you pull the whip, that's what I'm so risk reward, you wouldn't get bigger than them 2 fighters, to be honest.
Away from that one, just one final thought I'll get your thoughts on. We're waiting for the confirmation of a set reaffirmed date, but it looks like February 5th will be the one. Eubank Jr. and Liam Williams. John, what are your thoughts?
Do you know what? My honest thoughts, I think that's fight's curse, I think something else will happen so it don't happen. Sometimes there's fights that just something keeps getting in the way and something keeps happening. I just got a feeling that fight ain't going to happen, and it'll get cancelled again for some reason. Then one of them will take a even better fight. If it happens, I think it's a cracker. They're 2 hard men who both punch hard enough to stop you, but they don't really clean anyone out with one shot, and they both got good chins. I think Williams is better schooled, classically has got the better skills and school. But Eubank Jr. is like an athlete, he's one of them guys that can just take to sports. So it's really finely balanced. Eubank has got that kind of athleticness that he can do things that he shouldn't be able to, from balance he shouldn't be able to, whereas Williams is better schooled. I think Eubanks is a bit calmer. Williams just loves to stick it on you. I just think it's a really good fight. I think it goes to points. I don't think either of them stops the other one. I think it goes to points, and I'd be really hard pressed to pick a winner there. I'd have to see the last 3 days before I made a prediction. I'd like to see the head-to-head and the scales. That's a fight where it's that close for me that I'd need all the info to try and make a prediction, but I definitely think it would go to points and it would be a very hard fought.
Right, John, we will leave it there and I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. I'm sure you've got to get back to the gym at some point. It's a pleasure to catch up with you for the first time, and hopefully I'll see you in person to do an interview soon. Thank you for speaking to me on Boxing Social.
Andy, take care, buddy. See you soon.